Hello and welcome back to the Trainers of the World Tournament Season 2. I'm your host DeltaTDS, and today for match number 42, we've got the Pokemon Trainer Paul going up against the Pokemon Trainer Trip. Both of these trainers are Ash's rivals in the anime, so it's kind of like a rival off, which we had, I think, a few in Season 1. You can see that Paul's got the Gastrodon as his ace, and we can see that Trip has the Serperior as his ace. Once these trainers are ready, we can begin game number 1 and see who's going to be taking the lead for this match. Trip starting off with the Vanillix and the Druddigon, Paul starting off with the Weavile and Magmortar. We can see Weavile's got that pressure ability, so it's not going to be making use of any pickpocketing. Druddigon goes Terrafire, Vanillix goes Protect, Weavile goes Fake Out, and Heat Wave does 29%. Also, we notice that Vanillix does not have the Snow Warning ability, most likely weak armor. Switching out to the Audino, Throat Chop does 43% to Druddigon, Heat Wave takes out that Druddigon, and does 46% to Audino. Trip sends out the Unpheasant. Audino Mega Evolves, Weavile goes Swords Dance, Return does 86% to Magmortar, Heat Wave takes out the Unpheasant, and Audino is left at, well, after that, 41%. Trip is going to send out the Electros, Audino goes Protect, Throat Drop does 93% to Electros, Heat Wave finishes off that Electros. And Trip's going to send out the Vanillix now, left with 3 Pokemon remaining. Ice Spinner, not enough to take out the Audino. Heat Wave does take it out, and the Vanillix as well. And it's just that Serperior remaining. Ice Spinner takes out the Serperior. And Paul, with a 6-0 sweep, takes game number 1. We saw the Terrafire from that Druddigon, but we didn't see anything from the Druddigon, Electros, or the Serperior. We saw the Mega Audino, and then from Paul's side, we only saw that Magmortar and Weavile. We only saw Heat Wave from the Magmortar, and all 4 moves from the Weavile being Fake Out, Throat Chop, Swords Dance, and Ice Spinner. We are back on the field for game number 2, and we're gonna see if Trip can adapt to this super offensive team, or if Paul's going to take a 2-0 match 41. Trip starting off with the Chandelure and Conkeldurr, Paul starting off with the Weavile and now Gyarados. Instead of that Magmortar lead, Gyarados intimidating Trip's Pokemon. Chandelure going Terra Poison, Conkeldurr goes Protect against that Fake Out. Heat Wave doing 21% to Gyarados, missing the Weavile. Stone Edge does 75% to Chandelure. Conkeldurr reveals to have the Flame Orb, most likely also having Guts as well. Mach Punch takes Weavile down to the Sash. Heat Wave misses the Gyarados, takes out the Weavile, as Gyarados sets up a Dragon Dance. Paul is going to send out his ace, the Frostlass now. Frostlass using Ally Switch. Heat Wave takes out the Frostlass. Gyarados left at 48%. Iron Head takes out the Chandelure. Poison Jab, not enough, but it poisons the Gyarados, and that poison takes out the Gyarados. It's currently at 3v5 right now, as Paul sends out the Metagross and the Honchkrow. Trip sends out the Crocodile. Metagross gonna Mega Evolve, Honchkrow goes Terra Dark, Mach Punch does 72% to Honchkrow, High Horsepower does 69% to Crocodile, and Honchkrow sets up the Tailwind. Bullet Punch takes out the Crocodile, Sucker Punch does a critical hit to Conkeldurr, Mach Punch takes out the Honchkrow, and Paul is left with that Metagross and that Magmortar, as Trip sends out the Scolipede. Scolipede goes for the Protect, Mach Punch does 19% to Metagross, Meteor Mash takes out the Conkeldurr, Heat Wave hits that Protect, and Scolipede gets a free speed boost. Trip's gonna send out the Gothitelle now. Switching out to the Audino, Meteor Mash does 74% to Gothitelle. Heat Wave takes out the Gothitelle as Trip sends out his last Pokemon, the Scolipede. It's 2v2 right now. Scolipede goes for Protect, Meteor Mash does 45% to Audino. Heat Wave finishes off that Audino, and Scolipede gets that speed boost. Bullet Punch does 50%, Poison Jab does 64%. Heat Wave misses the Scolipede. Bullet Punch does 44%. Poison Jab takes out the Magmortar. And Bullet Punch does take out that Scolipede. And with one Pokemon remaining, Paul takes game number 2, which means he is our winner for match number 42. Came really close to the end there, but he's going to be going on to round 2, where he's going to be facing off against the Paldean Elite 4 member, Hassel. All I remember about him is he's got a Mega Baxcalibur, so that's going to be scary. But join us tomorrow, where we've got the Pokemon Trainer Yellow going up against the Paldean champion, Nimona. Thank you so much for watching, and until then, take care.